Hi, everyone. Oh, can y'all hear me? All right, there we go. All right, so I'm going to start by inviting you guys to participate in a series of questions. Feel free to participate in the audience. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and ask it. From a show of hands, how many of you consider yourselves to be on your healing journey? Now keep your hands up and look around for a second. We have a couple people that raised their hands, but I'll be honest, that was a trick question. Everybody's hands should have been raised. And you want to know why? Because healing is nonlinear. Healing isn't something you just finish and get it over with. It's an ongoing process that starts with you from the moment that you're born to the moment that you die. When I think about healing, I think about scars. Now, we've all had injuries. Some of you might have played sports. Some of you might have gotten surgery. You might have gotten operated on. Whatever the case is, we're all familiar with scars and how they work, right? So the interesting thing about scars is scars in the midst of trauma never stop healing the body. So when I think about scars, I think about the ongoing process of continuing to heal back to what once was. And what this means is trying to revert back to its original state. But here's the thing. It's kind of like failed friendships in a sense, where once something happens, once the wound has been opened, it never fully returns back to what it once was. But that's the beauty of it. It comes back with stronger tissue, different textures, but it never stops trying to repair itself back to what it once was. So here's the truth. Scars are a visible reminder that something happened. But the beauty about it is that it also reminds you that healing happened too. And like I said, in a sense, we're just like scars in that way. So here's a little bit about me. Now, I grew up in a predominantly white community where I was only one of 3 black kids in my grade. Yeah, 3. And in those moments of dealing with racism early on, that meant I was faced with challenges early on before I even had a definition or an understanding of what it really was. Now imagine being told that you don't belong while simultaneously being needed for your brilliance. I remember my 5th grade teacher told me that I wasn't ready for middle school. Now, mind you, I was top of my class. In fact, I was so scholarly that my bullies had no choice but to ask me for help on their assignments. Imagine that. Imagine staying back while everybody else is playing, going to recess, and I'm in the classroom by myself, writing stories, finishing assignments, completing homework. But you know, the irony of my teacher saying that to me was that it wasn't because I wasn't actually a good student. It was because of his perception of me. So here's the thing about perception. If you allow yourself to continue to listen to other people's perceptions, the reality is that perception then becomes your truth. And the most dangerous thing that can happen is when you actually start believing them. So by age 11, I had already experienced traumatic experiences like surviving sexual assault, the trauma of my mother's absence, and racial discrimination. While most children were playing, thinking about recess, thinking about other activities, I was trying to make sense of survival. I mean, I literally spent recess staying back, writing stories, sketching, just doing whatever I could to find some type of escape and get my mind off of the things that were really boggling me. But see, I wasn't just writing stories. I was making sense of my life and reclaiming narratives I never got to tell. I was rewriting my endings, creating safety on pages that I couldn't find in real life, turning confusion into characters, pain into plot. And to be fair, at the time, I thought, maybe I was just different. And, looking back on it, I was different. Like I said, I was one in 3 Black kids in my grade, so that already made me stood out a lot, right? But what I realized was that survival was training me. And that years later, that same discernment and emotional awareness would position me to save a friend's life from suicide. See, the writing wasn't random. It was preparation. It was therapy before I had a language for therapy. So by the time I hit high school, the clock was ticking. I had only anticipated making it to 17 years old. 17 years, that was it. I only valued 17 years of my life. I didn't even know what it looked like beyond that, because for me, I had already mentally checked out. But at 17, it's funny how life works. Life took on a different meaning for me, because my sophomore year, I lost my best friend. And it's something about seeing somebody gone, especially being your age, but losing my best friend, dreams were unclaimed, conversations were unfinished. It's something about a life being lost that shifts you. It's the realization that you can't bring them back, and it crushed me. But in the midst of grieving, something sparked in me. See, we had dreams, plans, visions of who we would become. And I remember thinking to myself in that moment, if he's not here, then I have to live, right? And when I say live, I'm not just talking about surviving. I mean actually living my life. Unbeknownst to me, survival would later present me with the opportunity to save yet another life. So, before I transferred to Morgan State University, I took a gap year. I moved in the middle of COVID, which was interesting, to say the least. Worked for a year, and got to know a little bit more about the community. Moving from Prince George's County to Anne Arundel County, and then somehow working my way into Baltimore, it was a huge transition, especially during a period where people weren't really socializing. But somehow, I became friends with someone who turned out to be battling suicidal thoughts. So, when I got that late night text one night, everything I survived, the pain, the questions, the inner work I had done, gave me the awareness to recognize the signs, the empathy to listen, and the courage to act. See, survival wasn't just about me making it out. It was ensuring that I was helping other people stay as well. And that realization changed everything. The quiet decision to keep going became intentional. Somehow I felt like I had so much more to live for. But somewhere in the midst of that realization, I leaned back into something that had been quietly saving me all along. Art. Would you believe it? Art saved my life. See, what started as a creative escape became my outlet, a safe space, if I will. See, art gave my pain somewhere to go. And eventually, that gave me purpose. to heal others through art. See, I built a business centered around art and community because I realized something beautiful. Art saves lives. See, healing looks different for everyone. Healing isn't just going to therapy, taking antidepressants, stumbling down a rabbit hole and somehow hoping that you'll come out different on the other side. See, healing is intentional. It's embodied within you. It's personal. But for me, healing unfolds in 3 parts: awareness, reflection, and transformation. See, healing is essentially a return to oneself. So this is awareness. Awareness is where the inner work begins. And if you don't know what inner work is the courage to sit with yourself in silence, which we've all gone through COVID, so we know that's hard, right? It's taking the initiative to confront your triggers, to question the narratives you've internalized, to notice how trauma lives not just in your mind, but in your body. Because see, when you have trauma in your mind, when you're dealing with things mentally, it also affects you physically. I'm sure you guys have felt similar symptoms, like you started crying, but then your stomach started hurting. You lost your appetite. You have a headache that you can't get rid of, but all in that same breath, your mind is boggling and those thoughts that you're internalizing just won't shut down. But the thing is, for me, awareness was also spiritual. It was realizing that my life had purpose beyond my pain. So this brings me to reflection. Reflection is the continuation of that inner work. It's when realization turns into responsibility. It's taking accountability and asking yourself, who would I be outside of survival mode? And in that space, transformation becomes possible. See, transformation is choosing life when you've seen death, choosing joy when you've known grief, choosing yourself when you once believed you weren't worthy. See, healing didn't erase my scars. It changed how I see them. For me, they are proof that I survived, I adapted, I healed. So here's what I want you to remember. Healing has no age limit, just as age doesn't exempt you from experiencing pain. So I leave you with this. You are never too young to begin. You are never too old to begin. You are never too broken to begin. So if you've ever questioned whether you were the problem, remember that you're not cursed. You are becoming. Do the inner work. Reflect with honesty. Transform with intention. You are not who you once were. Awareness, reflection, transformation. That is the art of healing. Thank you.